This is Lewis Hart for Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined with Team GB member and now Olympian Lewis Richardson here. Suppose it's been a couple of weeks now since you've qualified. I suppose how are things, mate? How is everything now gearing towards Paris 2024?
Yeah, so just short of 2 weeks since I got the golden ticket, as we like to call it in the boxing sort of terms of things. But yeah, over the moon still. I would say it's sunk in a little bit now, and it's sort of that mindset of okay, cool, you qualified, but now we want the next big thing, and that's to go and win the Olympic medal, and Olympic gold.
Hmm.
Um, but that being said, I'm trying to stay really present and trying to really focus on making sure I enjoy the next couple of months because I've worked extremely hard over the last, I mean, I've been boxing 13, 14 years, but particularly over the last sort of 7 or 8 years, I've worked extremely hard to sort of fulfill this dream. So I want to make sure I enjoy the journey, especially over the next couple of months. But that being said, obviously, full focus sort of now turns to getting in the best shape possible to go and perform and yeah, bring back a medal.
There's very few people in the world that could call themselves an Olympian. And I suppose you having the honour to do that, and especially in boxing as well, something that you've dedicated your whole life to. Just talk to me about, I suppose, about Thailand and getting that moment and getting that ticket and I suppose appreciating it while it is there. Obviously, there's a job to do, but appreciating that you can call yourself an Olympian.
Yeah, it's amazing. I still love people saying it.
Yeah,
My girlfriend's been, shouting it off the rooftops. Everyone sort of we meet along the way. She's like, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend just qualified for the Olympics. My brother's the same, you know. Oh yeah, my brother just qualified for the Olympics." She's like, "All
yeah,
right." And to be honest, it's quite. They often say, "What sport?" And I don't get boxing too often, which is, I guess, a
yeah.
compliment.
Hmm.
But yeah, it really did mean the world. Thailand was, yeah, it's an unforgettable experience. Still repping my
Yeah,
Thailand football t-shirt actually.
yeah,
But yeah, it was just a great experience. Had 4 fights out there. Light middleweight, with the weight changes and traditional
hmm,
sort of men's weight, light middleweight, welterweight. They've always been the busiest weight categories, and it was no different
yeah,
at this world qualifier. There were 70 entries at my weight, and only top five qualified. So I had 4 fights to qualify. Won every fight unanimous. Just was in a real gritty mindset of like getting the job done. I felt fully focused. I felt in a great place. When I say gritty, I felt sort of I was happy. Just everything felt like it was going well, but at the same time, I was able to flip the switch. And if were any sort of dark moments or close moments in the fight, I was able to really sort of cement my place and be like, no, I'm the boss in this ring, and I'm gonna make sure I'm victorious. Won every round bar one of
yeah,
every fight. The first three I won every round of every fight. And then in the qualification battle, I lost the first round 3-2. And I've had a few people saying it makes sense, it's quite fitting to the journey I've been on because
yeah,
I've had to come through adversity to sort of to get that
yeah,
this Olympic spot, and it's no different to this fight that I had. I lost the first 3-2, and I ended up winning the third fight, the second 5-0, and the third 4-1 or 5-0. But I won unanimous in the end. But yeah, just real moments that will stick with me forever. If anyone does follow me already on social, they would have seen the interviews going around, and I was quite visibly emotional, and I'm not
yeah.
ashamed of that at all because that was just sort of the outpour of emotion that I sort of displayed, and that was just my honest sort of feelings.
Hmm.
Didn't try and shy away from it because I'm old enough and ugly enough and mature enough to understand that you got to ride them waves, and yeah, I certainly did that.
For sure. And we talked a little bit off camera, and you talked about sort of the up and downs just there, and you talked about sort of almost being like a nearly man, I guess, and obviously coming close at the Commonwealth and coming close in Tokyo 2021. When you have all these things stacked up, how much do you feel like it feels like this all attributes to this moment in Paris to show, I'm here now, and this is what I deserve.
Yeah, I love like it's a great outlining of it. But yeah, it like I'd have all them experiences again to have the moment I had in
Mhm.
Thailand to qualify for the Olympic Games because the difference I think with the Olympics to many other sort of major comps within most sports, but also boxing
Yeah,
in particular, is you can't just be selected to go to the Olympic Games. You have to earn your spot. So with
yeah,
any other Commonwealth Games, European champs, world champs, don't get me wrong, you still need to be the number one in your country, which is an amazing feat in itself. But once you are there, it's be like, okay, we're selecting you. Whereas with the Olympics, you have to earn your spot. You can't just be selected. There's only 20 quota places at like middleweight, which is so limited. You know, there's so
Mhm.
many top fighters in the world at like middleweight. But yeah, 20 places, and it's extremely hard to qualify. So yeah, to be able to do that, and looking back, you know, reflecting on all them moments I had where it didn't quite go my way. Just valuable experience gained for the bigger picture of becoming an Olympian, and you know, to become an Olympic medalist in a couple months, and then transition into successful professional. So it's all moments where in the moment you're like, why is this happening to me? But
Yeah.
looking back now, you sort of think, yeah, that happened for a reason.
Definitely. And to also have the family and close friends beside you across the whole journey. I saw an Instagram post where you talked about your brother of him being at your first fight, and now he's at the one that was in Thailand. Having those people beside you that I suppose have seen what it's taken to get there must be extra special as well.
100%. I had a real, like a massive support sort of throughout the journey, but also since qualifying, I've had, you know, masses of support, and from sort of low profile to high profile names. You know, Fraser Clark, his video went pretty big of him sort of celebrating for me. It's a 3 minute video of him sort of throwing every punch or that I threw in that final round, and then celebrating my victory. You know, so yeah, like really grateful for big names like him and Chev Clark, who wasn't quite as vocal, put a really valuable sort of story out on Instagram that stuck with me, and it's delayed gratification. And I think that's a great summary of sort of my Olympic journey and my journey, yeah, to become an Olympian. And yeah, that really stuck with me. Other big names and real people who are important to me also, but you know, also close family members. You mentioned my brother, and yeah, he's been there since day one, and he's been a real good positive outlet and positive
Mhm.
role model for me. Coming from sort of, you know, traditional council estate areas
Yeah,
from the majority of boxers come from, but my brother sort of showed me there was a different path to going down that sort of, you know, maybe wrong path, some would say.
yeah,
And he sort of provided that positive outlet for me to sort of follow. And well, not unfortunately for him, but
yeah,
I had a bit of the gift, as well as sort of that hard work and drive, which he certainly has. I had a little bit of gift within boxing and, you know, even education, but he had to really graft and work his way to his sort of master's degree, which is the first master's degree that
yeah,
anyone in the family got. You know, and then 2 years later, I followed him and
yeah,
also did that and got my master's degree. You know, so which is another proud feat of mine, and a proud thing for the family as well. So yeah, support's been massive for me. Obviously, my local sponsors as well. Massive shout out to them who have really supported the journey over the years, and just really grateful, you know. And I said it in my interview post qualification, but sort of thankful to everyone who's helped, but also thankful to myself for not quitting.
hmm
And you know, because there could have been plenty of times where you
yeah.
could have, nah, mate, this isn't happening. This ain't gonna work out.
hmm
But yeah, I'm just grateful. And there were moments where I did feel like doing that, and I had to
hmm
get, you know, a stiff word from people in my ear to say, "Don't you dare." But yeah,
Yeah.
ultimately, it's me who's making them decisions, and yeah, I'm just so glad I stuck with it because, you know, once an Olympian, always an Olympian. So I'm just
Mhm.
really proud of that.
Definitely. I was literally just gonna mention that layer because you were saying you've been on GB for quite a while now, and it's no secret how tough the training is there. You know, you're training like 3 times a week, even though you may not even be camped for training anything, but you're training so hard, and you know you obviously you need to work hard anyway to get what get what you want. But was there ever times where it got really difficult for you to stay on with where as how hard the training is, and sometimes you may not feel like you was getting the rewards you may have put the work into deserve, if that makes sense.
Yeah, never from the training aspect. So it is incredibly hard, the training. You often
Hmm
get pros who have been on GB saying, no, there's like GB boxing, the training is significantly harder than being a pro sort of thing, and being in your own camp. But never, I've never shied away from hard work, and I've never thought, oh, no, I'm putting all this work and it's not paying off. It's more just the uncontrollables for me. So for me,
Yeah,
training is controllable. You know, you work as hard as you
yeah,
can, and you also smart around your training. You don't burn yourself out, but you know, you make sure you work as hard as you can and get in the best physical shape you can be in. But it's the uncontrollables like you know, like wear and tear on your body with regards to injuries, but also politics within sport and the world governing body. We had issues. We had to boycott the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
And then the weight changes as well. You know, it
I was
looked
going
like
to say that.
ultimately it
Yeah.
looked like my Olympic dream was over because
Yeah.
middleweight got cut out of the Olympic Games. You know, I'd spent
Of course.
9 years at middleweight from a boy into a man, and the thought of dropping down to 71 just didn't really seem realistic.
Hmm.
But I just had a bit of a light bulb moment back in November 2023. Had a year out the ring, and I come back to my first tournament for GB in a year, and it looked like it was going to be my last. It was going to be sort of a reintroduction to boxing before I then go and turn professional. Um, but I won that tournament. I got best boxer, and I felt really good. And I just thought I was laying in bed after I won gold. It was of all places. It was in a boxam tournament in Spain, which of all places in Benidorm, and
Yeah.
and a few of the boys went out, you know, to sort of say it's our last night, and I didn't, and I just remember laying in bed that night thinking, I can do this. You know, it's 7 or 8 months to the games. If I can't commit 7 or 8 months to just being at this, you know, lower weight, then you know I don't deserve to do it. You know, I thought I'm going for this, and I
Yeah.
did. And there was a tournament in December last year, and it wasn't GB Boxing didn't send a team. They'd almost shut up shop for the year. They had a really busy year, and sort of the year was over. But um, I knew there's an international box cup in Portugal, and I just thought I'm going for this, and I sort of self-funded it with support from my local sponsors, and we took a team out. I took me and George Crotty, who's my best mate, definitely in boxing, also on the GB squad, and we took two of the younger academy boxing on
Yeah.
GB lads were going, Paddy and Will Hewitt. And they come and done our corners, and obviously I done well out there. One goal, demonstrated to the coaches
Yeah.
at GB Boxing that I could make the weight and perform over 3 days. But obviously, the issue was, okay, cool, you can do that at an international box cup, but can you do it against the world's best? I
Yeah.
entered the Sheffield Boxing Open in January this year, won my first 2 fights, lost on a split decision to the European champion, and already qualified Paris 2024 Olympian. So that was sort of my path to say, yeah, I can do it at the top level. Okay, I lost on a split, but it's a good performance, a solid 3 days for me. And they
Yeah.
see they see enough in that sort of tournament to show that I can do it. And you know, 4 months later, here we are qualified, or 4 or 5 months later, here we are qualified for the Olympic Games. So it's been a mental
Hmm.
6 7 months. I've had 18 fights in those 6 months. But yeah, I wouldn't change it all because I've got the golden ticket, as I say.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you mentioned the weight change because it was gonna be something that I was gonna bring up. And obviously, one thing I did want to ask you at the Olympics now, and it's maybe a difficult question to answer, but how do you plan, or how do you sort of find that balance of appreciating, being there and being at the Olympics, have this lifelong experience, but also having that balance that we've got a job to do here and we've got to go and get gold as well. How do you balance that?
Well, I think being one of the mature athletes in the squad, and also like being, I've worked on myself from a sort of psychological point of view as well. Seek support, just to be more present and sort of, you know, just to be in the moment a bit more rather than thinking too much about. I don't really think about the past too much. I'm quite good at letting the past
Yeah.
go, but more about thinking of the future and stresses of the future. Whereas, you know, now I'm being a lot more sort of focused on, okay, just live not day to day, but you know, obviously have that plan
Mhm.
ahead of you, but also just to appreciate where you're at and appreciate how far you've come. Um, but yeah, with that sort of that that push and pull between enjoying it
Yeah.
but also being fully focused.
Mhm.
It's just about finding that balance, I think.
Yeah.
I'm confident within myself now. The team are confident. We know what makes me tick, what makes me work well, what doesn't. You know, sitting in a hotel room for 20 hours a day, you know, doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I need to be out and about, and I need obviously not sort of using too much energy up, but at the same time making sure that I'm seeing what I can see and making the most of this sort of situation. So obviously the Olympic Village will be an amazing experience. The whole atmosphere in Paris, I'm expecting it will be amazing because I vaguely remember London 2012, and I remember like the real sort of national pride and just the excitement and the buzz being around sort of Stratford in that sort of Olympic area. So yeah, just super excited. and really grateful for the opportunity. Grateful for like GB Boxing for everything they've sort of put into me and really invested and really trusted me. You know, it was a risk to put a natural middleweight into an already talented light middleweight division at GB Boxing. We had, you
Yeah.
know, we had already 3 talented fighters there who have won major medals themselves. But the GB coaches see something in me, and I'm glad they did, because I've been able to repay them now, and you know, become an Olympian, and I look to do that even more so by medaling and winning Olympic gold.
Absolutely. Last one from myself, Lewis. As I appreciate you have to get off. After the Olympics now, is the decision to turn pro? Is it professional, or or does it depend on how the Olympics goes?
I feel like a similar conversation I had to myself back in November when I made the decision to make the weight cut to get down to 71 and pursue that Olympic dream for a final 6 7 months. But I feel like I owe it to myself to turn professional, and I feel like I've got a lot to give. You know, I'm not naturally the biggest puncher, but I'm super fit, and I think longer rounds, more rounds will suit me, to be honest. There's very few boxers out there, I think, that will be able to really break me and wear me down, if any. You know, I fully back myself. I'm mentally and physically, you know, strong and fit. And I believe, you know, heading into them 6, 8, 10, 12 rounds, that I'll get on top towards the end. I'm already doing well over 3 rounds, but I think, you know, physically I'll be very fit and strong to go for the duration of those championship rounds. I also think being an Olympian will
Yeah.
bring more exposure to myself, bring more opportunities, and you know that's another reason why we look to go and win an Olympic medal, Olympic gold, because we know the sort of the benefits that can bring to us as amateur boxers heading into professional ranks. So yeah, I just feel like, you know, winning, achieving this sort of Olympic ticket and becoming an Olympian will open doors for me from a professional point of view, but also post sort of professional, or as well as professional boxing.
Mhm.
I feel like I've got many avenues to explore. I'm really happy with the position I'm in. As I said, I've got a master's degree as well, so
Yeah.
I'm not solely reliant on boxing. Boxing's a massive massive part of my life, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I'm not defined by boxing. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, but in regards to will I be looking to turn professional? Definite yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Lewis, I want to say thank you for taking time to speak to me. Really, really enjoyed this interview today. Yeah, and I suppose all the best for Paris. And next time we'll be talking, you'll have a medal round. So really appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Thanks for having me. Always a
No,
pleasure. So yeah, anytime. Thanks a lot.
top man. Thank you, mate.